Welcome back to the Crash Course Podcast. My name is Craig Crash Collins. I'm joined as always by Brandon Scott. You know him as B. Scott. Well, the stage is set for Super Bowl 58, and we're here to get into the weeds of the big game in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about the script a little bit. I'm excited to get a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek conversation about the script. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The colors. Hey, I mean, we'll get into it. We're also going to, of course, break down the big game by position. We're going to go down through each positional group, or each positional group, I guess it would be, and kind of tell you who we think is better at each spot. And then, of course, we're going to give our predictions. We're going to give a same-game parlay. We're going to give our prediction of who wins the game and who wins the MVP. So a lot of Super Bowl conversation, as it is going to be the 49ers and the Chiefs, a rematch of Super Bowl 54, B. Scott.
Yeah. 49ers have changed quite a bit since then. Kansas City Chiefs, not a little bit, but
kind of. So yeah. Much. Yeah. They're Tyreek Hill and a better defense. That basically. Yes. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, just we're coming off what was a really exciting championship weekend. You had Kansas City, of course, surviving over Baltimore 17-10. Patrick Mahomes, 30 of 39 for 241 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 11 catches on 11 targets. That was insane. He had 116 yards and a touchdown. He passes Jerry Rice for the most postseason receptions in NFL history. The one that really, I'm sorry, 49ers fans that may stumble across this video. I wanted the Lions to win. We, as well as everyone else that didn't really have any skin of the game, I mean, pretty much rooting for the Lions. And when I saw that they were up 21, 24-7, I was like, this is amazing. This is going to be awesome. We're going to start the season with Lions Chiefs, and we're going to end the season with Lions Chiefs. It's pretty crazy. But then back come the 49ers after trailing 24-7 at halftime. The 49ers score 27 unanswered points to end up winning 34-31. Brock Purdy goes 20 of 31 for 267 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Christian McCaffrey had 20 rushes for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, which, like I said, sets up a rematch of Super Bowl 54, where the Chiefs won 31-20, outscoring the Niners in the final quarter 21-0. So, real quick before we get into it, I did want to kind of take a look back. We did a tier list at the beginning of the year. We did our Super Bowl picks at the beginning of the year. B. Scott, you were the only person who got at least a team to the Super Bowl. Your Super Bowl pick was the Eagles over the Chiefs, so you don't have a winner, but at least the Chiefs got there. My Super Bowl pick was the Bengals over the Eagles, so neither of my teams really... My NFC champion limped to the playoffs and then didn't do anything in their one playoff game, so at least you got a team there.
Yeah, maybe it's because I had a copy of the script. No, I didn't. It's the Chiefs. They're the darling of the NFL year in and year out, year as of late. So, and they somehow know how to flip the switch at the right time.
Other notables from that tier list for division winners, we had the Titans, Vikings, and Falcons in the mix in their respectable divisions. The Titans finished last in the AFC South. The Vikings and Falcons finished third in the NFC South, or NFC North. Oh, sorry, the Vikings and Falcons finished third in the NFC North and South, respectively. We also had the Packers and Rams on the outside looking in for the playoff hunt. The Green Bay became the youngest team since the AFL-NFL merger to win a playoff game this season with their win over Dallas in the wild card round. As far as the teams we oversold in that tier, we had the Panthers and Bears on the outside looking in. I had a little bit more faith in Bryce Young, and that did not pan out. A little bit more faith in Frank Reich as well, but that did not. That was not a great year for our Carolina Panthers fans out there. And then we tried to predict the teams picking in the top 5 of the draft, and we went 1 for 5. The one we got right was the Commanders. We also had the Texans, Colts, and Bucks in that category. Of course, the Texans and Colts played for the AFC South title in Week 18, and the Bucks won the NFC South and made it to the divisional round. So, I mean, look, on the one hand, you might say, well, hey, if you just told us how the ways that you guys kind of went wrong on your picks, why would we believe you for the Super Bowl? Well, hey, guess what? Guess what? Two teams we had in our Super Bowl tier: 49ers and Chiefs. So I mean, look, we I mean, look, not that that was really a hard decision to put them up there, but we'll see how it goes here over the next hour or so as we give you our predictions for the game. Because it's I think even though the matchup isn't necessarily maybe the top one we wanted to see, I think it is going to be a fun matchup.
The matchup, it would have been fun, the Lions and the Chiefs, because it would have been the Taylor Swift versus Eminem Super Bowl. That would have been entertaining.
Yeah.
I would have signed up for that part of the script for sure.
Yeah. I mean, look, if they could have made it now granted, this wouldn't have happened because Taylor Swift has a concert in Tokyo.
She's gonna be there.
I know. She is. No. Listen, let me. What I was saying is I don't know that it would happen anyway because she has a concert in Tokyo. But if her and Eminem could have done some musical number pregame, that would have been pretty awesome. I would have signed up. I would have signed up for that. Something. Maybe not pregame. I
definitely don't think she would have because Eminem.
I mean, look, I know
she's a legend, but
no doubt that those are two totally different music styles. I'm just saying if they could have coordinated something.
You know what I would have loved? I would have loved an Eminem suite right next to the Swift Kels. Apparently, we've been saying Travis.
Yeah,
Travis' last name wrong. It's Kels.
Right. Well, so
because their dad, it turns out their dad kept getting called Kelsey, and he got tired of correcting people.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say
that sounds like such a dad move.
Right.
I'm like, bravo, sir! You win dad of the dad of the century. You're the GOAT for that move. Totally. Like you just changed your name because you're like, you know what? I'm done correcting people.
I'm tired of telling people.
I would have loved a Swift Kels suite right next to the Eminem suite. Could you imagine Eminem and oh my gosh, Travis's brother,
Jason Kelsey, yeah,
right next to each other? That would in Vegas.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would have been must see.
There we go. That is must see TV
for sure. So as we start our Super Bowl discussion here, you've mentioned the script a couple of times. I think the first thing we can put to bed in our Super Bowl discussion is that because the Super Bowl color theory did not come true, I think that means no NFL script, right? Not rigged. I think you don't think you think it's
they rewrote. They were thrown a curveball and had to rewrite the script after they changed the Super Bowl logo colors.
Oh yeah,
the curveball being Taylor Swift.
Okay, elaborate, B. Scott.
Okay, well, one, the NFL has been trying for a long time to get Taylor Swift involved in the Super Bowl in some way, wanting her to perform mostly halftime show, and that has never worked out. Most likely will never work out. Then she and Travis get together, and they start seeing how much value it has brought to their brand and the Kansas City Chiefs brand. We're talking in a sum of $32.5 million. $32.5 million. Look, it was not that long ago. This Kansas City Chiefs team was completely inept. Their wide receivers could not catch a ball if they were the ocean and Pat Mahomes was throwing a beach ball. It was just, they were awful. This is also a Kansas City Chiefs team that not that long ago lost at home to the Las Vegas Raiders with Aiden O'Connell only throwing 68 yards. I may be off by a couple yards. It was either 66 or 68 yards total. Point being, they ran the ball down Kansas City's throat in Arrowhead. This Kansas City's Chiefs team was cooked. This was everybody's like, okay, you know what? Pat Mahomes just does not have the team around him this year. That's fine. That's fine. And then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs and I'm I'm not surprised with the Miami game. The weather in that game, you didn't have to script that one. That one was basically Miami did not stand a chance. And then I'm not too surprised about the Bills. Maybe a little bit. I was a little bit surprised about that outcome, but both of those teams here recently looked inept. Like they don't belong in the playoffs. The Bills were riding that hot streak. But what really, really makes me believe that there's some sort of pull, maybe not a full script, but a pull going on behind the scenes was this past weekend in Baltimore. That Baltimore Ravens team was clicking on all cylinders, offense, defense, being at home in front of their fans. Everything was lined up perfectly. And the Kansas City Chiefs, who, like I said, looked completely inept not that long ago, come in and make the number one seed and the clear front runner for MVP and Lamar Jackson look absolutely pedestrian. Absolutely pedestrian. I mean, and the play calls were just like odd and not using Lamar Jackson to his full capabilities. And the fact that the NFL assigned the head ref that game, who is always calling things in favor of the road team. A matter of fact, in 48% of the games that he has officiated in, it's been less than 50% of the time in the games that he's officiated in that the home team has won. Less than 50% of the time. That means over 50% of the time, the road team wins. Kansas City was the road team. I'm just saying, I'm not saying there's a full script, but I'm saying that there is a lot of pull behind the scenes to get the outcomes that they need. You can't tell me that the NFL did not want Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl and the added value that she will bring viewership wise. Other people will be tuning in, which is good. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is good for the NFL. It's reaching a target. It's reaching a wider audience. I'm hearing dads say, hey, you know what? People can complain about it all they want, but it's got my daughter who's never cared about football. She's watching it and talking to me about it. And it's great. And so I'm not one of those people that's saying, oh, I'll get Taylor Swift on the screen. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's just, there's just too many, I don't know, too many things pointing to, like, I don't know, because watch, I'll come out and say right now, I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win because I think the NFL knows it would be huge to have Taylor Swift down on that field during the post-game ceremony and her being around the Lombardi trophy in some way, or her and Travis Kelce being together while he's being interviewed, and just the amount of eyes that would tune into that are astronomical.
I thought when you said the word down, I thought you were going to say down on one knee, because I've heard that floated around too.
I think that's also a strong possibility as well. I thought that was going to happen in the AFC Championship celebration, but I'm like, no, it's Super Bowl. It's going to be Super Bowl.
Now, look, when you told me, I don't know if you know, when you told me last week about the referee that favors the road teams, like I watched, when I was watching the AFC Championship game, I was kind of watching extra close because I was waiting for, like, I knew we were going to talk about this week, so this week, so I was like, okay, what's going to be the call that we're going to, like, debate and talk about being like, oh, see, that proves it, or this proves it. And I did not see a call that was like, oh, hey, like, there it is. That's the call that went in the Chiefs' favor when it could have gone in the Ravens' favor. I mean, the Chiefs dominated the Ravens. There was nothing. The refs did not play a factor in the outcome of that game. What played a factor was Zay Flowers fumbling at the end zone, Lamar Jackson throwing into triple coverage, getting picked off. Now, you could say there was maybe some contact with Likely, but I mean, that's also Lamar throwing into triple coverage. But it's, it is what it is on that front. And I'm not gonna lie, NFL color theory, the logo color theory was the closest that I'd ever gotten to thinking. I don't think it's rigged. It's the closest I've ever been to thinking it, because I was like, that's kind of wild that like the Rams and Bengals were in the Super Bowl and the logo was orange and yellow, and the Chiefs and Eagles were in it last year and the logo was green and red, and this year it was purple and red. So it was supposed to be the Ravens and 49ers. Now somebody said that it was supposed to be the reason why the Chiefs are there is because it was supposed to be the Vikings and before Cousins got hurt. And I was like, the Vikings weren't playing well even before he got hurt, so that doesn't make any sense. But the thought process I have is, it's kind of like what I told you last week off air. Does the NFL want the Chiefs to win, or did the Chiefs beat a Dolphins team that was 1-5 versus playoff opponents this season in one of the coldest games ever? Did the NFL want the Chiefs to win, or did they beat a Bills team that at their bye week in Week 13 was 6-6 and had to rally to make the playoffs? And I know that you said that on both of those two fronts. Or does the NFL just want the Chiefs to win, or did the Chiefs just dominate a Ravens team that couldn't get their offense going after the first possession and kept beating themselves against Lamar Jackson, who historically has not been very good in the playoffs and hasn't turned that corner yet. It had been 3 years since he played a playoff game, or 4 years. I can't even remember the last time he was in a playoff game, because remember last year he was hurt when the Ravens made it against the Bengals. So I don't look at it as being, the NFL playing a hand in it. Yeah, are there some things that kind of are a little fishy here and there? I think a lot of the things are more coincidences than anything else, and we just kind of find a way because it's something that maybe we don't necessarily want to see, and so because it's something we don't necessarily want to see, we find something negative with it. Because let's just call it what it is. B. Scott, I want to officially diagnoose you with Chiefs fatigue. That's what it is. It's Chiefs fatigue. I don't mind. I personally don't mind seeing the Chiefs win. But I think a lot of people are dealing with Chiefs fatigue, and that's fine. Because you talked about the Chiefs being completely inept not too long ago. And I've seen a lot of graphics of Mahomes Mahomes versus Brady now that Mahomes is in his third Super Bowl and that kind of thing, through his age 27 season or whatever it is. So let's look at this. The Chiefs were 11-6 this season. They were 7-2 before their bye week. They went 4-4 down the stretch heading into the postseason. Brady's first Super Bowl run, which was in 2001, his first season when he took over, the Pats started 3-4. They finished 11-5. Now, you could just completely throw that out because that was his first season. That was the great team that he had around him. He was literally filling in whatever. Drew Bledsoe comes into the AFC Championship game. So I count it, but if you want to take that away and say, that wasn't really Brady, I'm okay with that. Brady's fourth Super Bowl run, 2014. The Patriots started 2-2. They got blown out by the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. That was when everybody said, because they lost 41-14, and everybody was like, Brady's washed. He's done. This is proof that Brady's time is up. He's done. Whatever. The Patriots finished 12-4 that year, and Brady wins Super Bowl MVP. Brady's sixth Super Bowl run, 2018. His final run with the Pats. They started 1-2. They were 7-3 at the bye week. They went 3-2 in December to finish the year up at 11-5. They ended up, of course, winning the Super Bowl. That was the awful Super Bowl that was the 13-3 year over the Rams. And then Brady's seventh Super Bowl run with the Buccaneers. The Bucs were 7-5 at their bye. They were 7-5, and they rallied to finish 11-5. Brady wins Super Bowl MVP. So what I'm saying is we've seen countless times where a team has rallied and found themselves hoisting the Lombardi at the end of the season. Now, granted, we don't even know if they're going to hoist the Lombardi a couple of Sundays from now, but they've rallied and hoisted the Lombardi behind the arm of their quarterback that at the time is considered the greatest quarterback of their generation. So, I think it's less the Super Bowl it's less the NFL rigging anything as it is, we need some sort of explanation for how unbelievable it is that we thought, man, the Chiefs aren't going to make it this year, and here it is, the Chiefs are there again. Like I said, I don't mind seeing the Chiefs win. To me, the Chiefs are the Golden State Warriors to me. Up until this year, they were really dynamic and fun to watch offensively. I like Steph, I like Mahomes. I think they're, the faces of their franchise are both very likable. And both franchises hadn't really had too much recent success. or had a lot of success on the whole, and it's certainly not contending for titles. And I think for me, because the emergence of like Steph Curry happened during the LeBron time when he was torturing the Pacers. Like that's why I don't hate him as much, because I focused my hate at LeBron. Just like how the emergence of Mahomes came during the Brady time. Well, of course Brady was more on his way out than anything else, but Brady was still there. So I was like, okay, I still don't like Tom Brady, so I don't really care about Mahomes. Plus, I didn't really think Mahomes was going to be this good, so that also plays into why I like him so much. But so I mean, I don't. So like I said, I don't mind seeing them win so much, but I think this is more us needing an explanation for, man, they really did it again, didn't they? Than it is the NFL doing anything to rig or influence anything. Now, granted, like you said, I mean, the numbers of what Taylor Swift and all that stuff brings to the table, that's I can't argue on that, like what the economic stuff, and at the end of the day, it's a business. So I understand that side of it. I'm sure there is some production value to that side of it, but I don't think it goes so far as to let's try to impact the game. I'm sure there's situations where they would like that to happen, where they would like a certain outcome because that would be better. But even in that scenario, wouldn't what you just had said with the Lions and Chiefs having an Eminem Taylor Swift Super Bowl had been the ultimate? If there was ever a rigging to happen, wouldn't the Lions have kept their 24-7 lead and made the Super Bowl?
But what did I tell you off air? What did I tell you off air? The 49ers fullback, you can pronounce his last name.
You check?
Yeah. His wife is the designer of the jacket that Taylor Swift has been wearing to Chiefs games. She's been a designer of jackets for a lot of different celebrities going to NFL games. And she just got licensed to sell her product with the NFL. Big promo time coming up for those coats in a couple weeks. But it's all fun. And you're saying that I'm suffering from
Chiefs fatigue.
I don't really think it's Chiefs fatigue. I think it's more of all the off the field circus that kind of follows the Chiefs. Whether it's the Taylor Swift thing this year, or in the past, it's been Brittany Mahomes and Jackson Mahomes and their TikTok dances on the field on the Super Bowl field, those types of things. You're just like, I think it's more the Jackson Mahomes thing for me rather than anything else. But you're just like, yeah, maybe it is. Because I do like the Chiefs. Like, look, George Karlaftis. I'm a huge George Karlaftis fan.
Got a big sack on Sunday.
I mean, going for his second Super Bowl in his career, his second year in the NFL. He is a huge supporter in the community, and the charity that he supports the most is as an impact on me too. He supports Canine Companions for Independence, which is a service dog company that I have received all my service dogs through. A matter of fact, the dog that I had in college when we were at Ball State, Rona, was raised out in Kansas City by the group that George Karlaftis supports. So I have, it's, I don't know. I think maybe it's just I'm looking at it too closely, and good teams know how to turn it on at the right time, which we have seen in the past in multiple sports. I mean, look, even in the NBA, LeBron's teams, they always come into how many times has LeBron been the one seed? Very, very few times. They come in, they just get the job done in the postseason. That's just the way the great teams, they handle it.
And you said a lot about the drop passes and stuff like that. I mean, Kelsey struggled through a lot of the season, but I mean, it was just a season ago that, I know it wasn't in the playoffs, but it was against the Raiders too, but we're only a year removed from him having like 4 touchdowns in a game and him like still being the best tight end. So it's not unheard of that he would.
I'm talking more about.
Well, I know, but he was also a part of that. Like he was also part of the drops. Like, because look, that's the only part of the Taylor Swift stuff that I haven't liked is the graphics that, like, with Taylor Swift at the game, Travis Kelce has these stats, and when she's not at the game, because the only thing I didn't like about it was because, like, when they showed that stat, it was like the only stat that applied to was the Minnesota game where he missed time because he was hurt. And I was like, that's why the stats are bad, because he missed half the game because he was hurt. Like, that's why he had 2 catches for 18 yards, because he missed half of the game. So, like, what do you mean? So, I mean, and maybe the reason that why I'm not as sick of all the hubbub is because, like, I do like Patrick Mahomes. I became more of a Patrick Mahomes fan watching the Netflix documentary. I watch I've never actually, like, sat down and listened to, like, a ton of episodes of New Heights, but I see their clips all the time. You know, I
haven't, same, but it's hilarious.
Right, yeah. So, like, I've you know, Travis Kelce was, like, the cornerstone of my fantasy team for a long time. So, like, I am very much in their corner.
It wasn't that long ago. Tell me if I'm wrong. This may be the Mandela effect going on, that I'm imagining something that never really happened. There was at one point several years ago a reality show, like Bachelor-esque.
Yeah. Catching Kelce. It's like, yes. I don't know if it's still on Peacock, but, like, when he first started dating Taylor Swift, like, it came back to Peacock. Like,
so I'm pretty sure the girl he met on that was his ex. That is very, like, throwing shade.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
but yeah,
I mean, yeah, New Heights is great. I think more because Jason Kelce, I feel like I can relate to him more.
Mm-hmm.
The more I watch him, and I'm like, yeah, who's one person you'd love to have a beer with? Jason Kelce.
Yeah. Only if he takes his shirt off and starts doing all that stuff.
If we're in Buffalo.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think, you know, like you said, there are some things that make you question. Like I said, the color theory was like, I was like, it's gonna be hard to deny people that think, because I always, like, I see people sometimes say that it's rigged, and I'm like, whatever. Like, I want to live in your head for one day just to see what it's like. But then I was like, it'd be hard to refute it if the color theory thing came through. But but yeah, I think it's more or less just us, those who don't want to see it be this again, needing an explanation for why it's this again. I think that's what it is, more or less.
Yeah, I think also this year, I really wanted to see Lamar Jackson get there. Just same thing. I wasn't upset about the 49ers beating the Lions, because I really wanted the 49ers to get there, because I'm loving the Brock Purdy story.
Yeah.
The first ever Mr. Irrelevant to ever throw a pass in the regular season. And now he's playing for a Super Bowl. And the fact that he has a roommate, and all these memes of him walking into the NFC Championship game in his outfit. And it's just like the fact that there's a GoFundMe out there to help him pay his rent is it's great. I don't know why, but I love it. Oh, also because I think also with the Brock Purdy thing, I was really high on Brock Purdy. And when he got that draft, I was high on Brock Purdy. It was somebody that I was like, don't sleep on him. Do not sleep on him.
Well, speaking of Brock Purdy, let's go ahead and start breaking down Super Bowl 58. I love doing this segment we do every year when we've done our Super Bowl special, which is our tail of the tape, which means we go through all the positional groups and we say who is better at each position. We're going to give you a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. We're going to go O-line, run defense, pass defense, special teams, and go through all that right before we get into our predictions. So first and foremost, at quarterback, who is better? I'm going, not too much of a secret where we're going. I'm going Kansas City here with Patrick Mahomes. Brock Purdy did have the best QBR in the league this year. He had 4 more touchdowns and 3 fewer interceptions than Mahomes during the regular season. He barely edged him in yards as well. However, we know Mahomes' legacy. He's played on Super Bowl Sunday 3 times and has won twice. If you need to hang your hat on something statistically to make yourself feel better about going Mahomes over Purdy here, which you shouldn't, but in case you do, Mahomes has had the best QBR this postseason. He's completed 68% of his passes. He has 4 touchdowns, no picks. Purdy has completed 61% of his passes with 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. I know that's 1 fewer games for Purdy than Mahomes, but still, Mahomes has been the best quarterback this postseason, far and away the best quarterback. He'll be the best quarterback on the field on February 11th.
Yeah, nothing to add there. I'm a big Brock Purdy fan, but tail of the tape, this goes to Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just can extend plays in ways that we've never seen before.
Yeah. At running back, not breaking any news here. I'm going San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the league when healthy. He won this year's rushing title with 1,459 yards. He scored 14 touchdowns in the regular season. This postseason, he's averaging 5 yards per carry and has 4 touchdowns. He's also averaging 94 yards per game. Isaiah Pacheco does have the most rushing yards this postseason with 254. He's tallied 3 touchdowns for the Chiefs as well. He averages 85 yards per game, so he's holding his own. Like, Isaiah Pacheco is a good running back, so he's not a slouch by any means. But what gives McCaffrey the biggest edge for me is his impact in the passing game. The second most receiving yards amongst running backs this season with 564 yards. He caught 7 touchdowns. So that's 21 touchdowns on the season from Christian McCaffrey. That's an amazing production from him. On the flip side for Pacheco, just 244 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air for him. So McCaffrey's not only better rushing, but he also can provide a whole lot more in the receiving game as well. So Christian McCaffrey is the best running back on the field in Vegas.
Yeah, it's San Francisco here. Nothing really other to add, but fun fact, if the 49ers were to win the Super Bowl this year, the Shanahan-McCaffrey connection would continue on. His dad won Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos, and Kyle Shanahan's dad was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. So just kind of a fun connection there, which conspiracy theories, maybe.
Well, and I did forget to mention that in that discussion earlier, that there are some things that are like cool coincidences that you kind of wonder, like, that kind of played out a little bit too well, like the Harbaugh Bowl, and then like stuff like that, like you just mentioned. So those are things that are coincidences, but if you're trying to think, that way, you can kind of pile it on a little bit. At the wide receiver position, I'm going with San Francisco as far as who has the best wide receivers, and I think this might be the easiest category to pick offensively, believe it or not, because I think if you were to swap the 2 top wide receivers on these 2 squads, put Debo and Ayuk on the Chiefs and Rashee Rice and Justin Watson on the Niners, I think Kansas City would be the overwhelming favorites in this game. But the emergence of Rashee Rice has been awesome for the Chiefs. He's been a breath of fresh air for a unit that has largely struggled this season. But Brandon Ayuk finished 7th in receiving yards in 2023 with 1,342 yards. He scored 7 touchdowns. Debo has 7 touchdowns as well. He had 892 yards receiving. Plus, he makes an impact in the rushing game. He has 225 yards and 5 touchdowns this season as well, rushing the football. So Ayuk and Debo, a fantastic tandem. Like I said, I think if you were to put them on the Chiefs squad, they would be, we would be talking about, the Chiefs being, probably a touchdown favorite in this game, at least. So, so it's San Francisco. They've got the best wide receiver squad.
Yeah, I agree. It could be a little bit closer depending on the health of Debo Samuel. He's going to get a little bit of time to rest up, obviously, so that does help. But overall, it's the 49ers as far as wide receiver goes, which brings you then into tight end.
Yes, tight ends. I'm going Kansas City here with Travis Kelce. Obviously, George Kittle and Travis Kelce are 2, if not the 2, best tight ends in the league. Kittle edged Kelsey for the league lead in receiving yards at the position this season by 36 yards. Kittle had 6 regular season touchdowns. Kelsey had 5. But this postseason, that's what's given the edge for me for Kelsey because Travis Kelsey has been an absolute monster. 23 catches on 27 targets, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kittle has just 6 catches on 10 targets, 108 yards, and only 1 touchdown. So Travis Kelsey has had a much better postseason. So when you're splitting hairs between these two tight ends, because they are very similar, as far as what they bring to the table, I'm going with the recency bias here. So give me Travis Kelsey in Kansas City. They've got the best. They're the best at tight end.
Yeah, Travis Kelsey is just a very dominant tight end. He can, from the tight end position, he can flip the game into his team's favor, and that's there's only been a handful of tight ends that have ever been able to do that. Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Gonzalez, not Antonio, just there's been a handful.
Antonio Gates,
Antonio Gates, yeah.
Tony Gonzalez too.
Tony, yeah. See,
you were there. You got both of them.
It's been a long day. If you don't know, we record this show at night.
Yeah. It's going on 9 o'clock.
I don't want to say the time because I'm like, that makes me seem really old.
Guys, it's going on 7:30. We got to go to bed.
7:30. Don't let the sunshine behind me fool you.
Yeah. I live in Alaska. Ignore the palm trees.
But yeah, it's Travis Kelsey and the Kansas City Chiefs. The tight end position goes there.
As far as offensive line, this is close. According to Pro Football Network, the 2 Super Bowl combatants finished with middle-of-the-pack offensive lines. Kansas City ranked 14th, San Fran ranked 15th. So like with tight ends, I'll look at the postseason production. Brock Purdy has been sacked 3 times during the playoffs, Mahomes twice, so not a lot of help there. The 49ers are averaging 133 yards per game on the ground. The Chiefs are averaging 127 yards per game on the ground. San Francisco also leads by a slim margin in yards per carry. So it's close. I mean, both teams have been rushing the ball pretty well and have not allowed a whole lot of sacks. So I'll give the small edge to San Francisco. They've got the better offensive line, so I'll go Niners there.
I'm going with San Francisco here as well. Joe Thuney. I'm butchering his name. I'm butchering names tonight. That's the name of the game. He, depending on his health for Kansas City, he was inactive in the AFC Championship game. That's huge. If he's not able to play, then that definitely swings the pendulum fully over to San Francisco as far as O-line goes.
Defense now. Run defense. I'm giving the edge to Kansas City. The 49ers allowed 90 yards rushing per game during the regular season, good enough for 3rd in the NFL in that category. This postseason, though, the 49ers have allowed 159 yards per game on the ground, worst among teams that have played multiple playoff games. The Chiefs allowed 113 yards per game on the ground this season, ranking 18th in the NFL, but they have stayed the course in the postseason, also allowing 113 yards per game, which is 6th amongst playoff teams. So because of the drop-off by San Francisco, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. You also have Kansas City beating the Bills and the Ravens in the last 2 rounds, which those are the teams that rank 1 and 2 this postseason in rushing. So they've been able to handle teams that are solid rushing the football. Now I know, especially with the Ravens, they didn't run the ball as much as they probably should have in that game. But they did still beat, a good rush, 2 great rushing teams the past 2 games. So I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have the better run defense.
Yeah, I agree. It is the Chiefs. And that's because Chris Jones, he is playing lights out football right now. He is a huge, huge difference maker. I mean, he was like a 1-man wrecking crew, essentially, in the AFC Championship game at times. And that's, to me, that gives the Kansas City Chiefs the edge there.
Pass defense. I'm also going to go with the Chiefs. The Chiefs finished 4th in pass defense this season, allowing 117 yards per game. Kansas City has also allowed 210 passing yards per game during the playoffs, fourth amongst playoff teams. San Francisco finished 14th in the league against the pass, giving up 214 yards per game. San Francisco has allowed 227 yards per game this postseason through the air. That's sixth amongst playoff teams. So Kansas City was far better against the pass in the regular season, has been slightly better this postseason. So I'll go with the Chiefs in that category as well. Snead for them has been amazing. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs there.
Yeah, and I'm also going with the Chiefs because I don't know if you took this into consideration, but I'm also looking at pass rushers as well. And I still give the edge to the Chiefs there. Their secondary, I really like their secondary. Trent McDuffie, that he's a good player. He's really good. I like him. So yeah, give me the Chiefs.
Isn't he out of Carroll? Didn't he go to Carroll? Is that the kid from Carroll that made it to the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think so. I know he played at Washington.
Who am I thinking of? Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
Now you got me. Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs for pass defense as well, just because they can get to the quarterback. And let's be honest, Brock Purdy is not the most mobile. He's mobile, but he's not Lamar Jackson mobile. And this pass defense made the Ravens Sunday an absolute nightmare.
Carroll of Fort Wayne. I always want to spell Chiefs like I want to flip the I and the E all the time. Oh, this is going to give me Tranquil. That's who I was thinking of. Okay, so not.
Oh yeah, Drew Tranquil from who went to Notre Dame.
Okay, yeah. That's who. Okay, that's who it was. For some reason, McDuffie. I was like, I recognize that name. That must be the name that I saw from Carroll. So no, never mind. Tranquil. So that's pretty cool for him as well. So looking,
who was committed to Purdue.
There you go.
Originally, before signing day, he went to Notre Dame.
Looking at special teams, final positional group to look at here. As far as field goals go, Kansas City has hit 7 of 7 this postseason and has missed just 2 kicks all season. San Francisco has missed 2 field goals this postseason, and in the regular season, they missed 4. Both Super Bowl teams had a net average of 43.5 yards on punts. During the regular season, Kansas City has been better in net yardage on their punts this postseason. So that's probably way more punt analysis than you expected to get in a Super Bowl preview, but there you go. The Chiefs were also 5th in the league in punt return yards. The 49ers were 20th. The Chiefs were second in the Chiefs were second this postseason, while the 49ers have not returned a punt in the playoffs yet. As far as kick returns go, the 49ers were 14th in the league in yardage. The Chiefs were 29th. The 49ers have been better in the playoffs as well. So looking at all of that together, I'm going with Kansas City as having the best kicking, the best special teams unit. They've got the better field goal kicker. They've got the best. They're better on punts. I know that San Francisco is better on kick returns. But with how good Harrison Butker has been and how good the Chiefs have been overall punting the football and returning punts, I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City on this one as well. These teams are evenly matched, but it's pretty
slight edges here and there.
Yeah. But the Chiefs special teams has really come up big here in the postseason, and so that gives the edge to the Chiefs for me.
Yeah. So yeah, because it's once you get past because the quarterback overwhelmingly it's Mahomes as the better quarterback. Running back overwhelmingly and not as overwhelmingly as you think, but I think it's still convincingly it's McCaffrey. Wide receivers still going with the 49ers. But once you get past that, it's really close in every single statistical category. You could really make a case either way. So yeah, I mean, it's not as if we're overwhelmingly saying, yes, this is better, that's better, this is better. It's like, no, it's very close and just a small edge here or there to either the 49ers or the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think this is going to be a fun game.
Oh, yeah. So speaking of the game itself, it is finally time for our Super Bowl predictions. We're going to give a parlay that those who like to partake and indulge can potentially take. to the game. And then we're going to give our prediction for the game as well as who we think is going to come away with Super Bowl MVP. So my parlay, it's a 4-leg parlay. I've got Chiefs +2. That's what the line was last night. I'm sure it'll change as we've got a couple of weeks. But Chiefs +2. That's telegraphing my pick a bit, but I know, but that's what I'm doing. Chiefs +2. Isaiah Pacheco, anytime touchdown scorer. He scored a touchdown in every game this postseason. He's the leading rusher this postseason, and the 49ers have been the worst against the run in the playoffs. So I think Pacheco will get a touchdown run. So I think he'll get in the end zone there. Harrison Butker, over 2.5 extra points made. Like I said before, he hasn't missed an extra point all postseason, so you're just hoping the Chiefs score 3 touchdowns. And so far, based on what the 49ers have given up, they gave up 31 points against the Lions. They gave up 21 points against the Packers. So based on that, you should be in pretty good shape. And then Brock Purdy, under 1.5 passing touchdowns. He just has 2 passing touchdowns this postseason, and the Chiefs haven't allowed 2 passing touchdowns all playoffs either. So every team that's played, the Chiefs has only thrown 1 touchdown pass. Josh Allen only had 1. Lamar Jackson only had 1. Tua only had 1, and then Purdy had I think 1 in each game as well. So that's what I'm going with. I don't like going unders because I'd rather be rooting for that thing to happen instead of rooting against stuff all the time. But I guess inevitably, I guess you're always rooting against something if you're rooting for something. But not to get all philosophical on everyone, but
you're first, you're last.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm going with the under there. So all in all, that parlay is +750, meaning a $10 bet does get you $85 on DraftKings. So not a bad net for the Super Bowl. So so that's the one I'm going with. A 4-leg parlay. I normally I'd go big and go 5, but I haven't had a lot of luck with 5 leggers this year, so I'm going with 4 here.
All right, so it's a 4-legger here for me. Hold on, I have it all written down. I did not write down how much it was going to win you. So as I'm talking about this,
I'm gonna be putting it into whatever.
I'm gonna be putting it in.
That's what I did. I was like, because I don't know what mine was, so I was like, I gotta put it in as I'm doing it.
So my first one is Christian McCaffrey over 89.5 yards rushing. He's averaging about 90, so 90, 94. So I think that's a good pick. Originally, my pick, I'm glad I went in and looked at this. I was going to go with Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions. Right now, he's up at the 7.5 receptions is sitting at the under as the favorite, but I'm actually going to go over for that. Travis, you're playing inside. You don't have to worry about the weather. I think it's gonna be a big game for Travis Kelce. So I have him over 7.5 receptions. And then both of mine do involve anytime touchdown scores between both Christian McCaffrey and Travis Kelce, which doesn't sound great because they're both the two of the highest favored to be anytime touchdown scores. And the reason I go anytime touchdown is because, look, I like to play it safe a little bit when it comes down to this. I'm not going to be the one that says first touchdown score because that's a toss up. Literally, it's a toss up from the coin toss.
Right. Well, and I mean, like when when it's the wild card weekend and divisional round weekend, I do. And even I did it last weekend too. Like I do dabble with the first touchdown scores, but like I do them as their own separate parlay. I try to do what that kid did last year that picked all 4 divisional first time touchdown scores where he like won like $30,000. That's what I try to do. So I don't when I'm doing an actual parlay for a game, I never do first time touchdown scores either. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I mean, look, I would stay away from yardage and stuff like that just because I'm like, oh, they're going to be honing in on McCaffrey and Kelsey. But I mean, you're taking two of the best players on the field to have big games, and I don't think you're wrong for doing that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the parlay I give cannot be parlayed.
Oh, why is that?
So,
Is it because
um,
wait, you should be able to. It's well, I mean, I guess
maybe
it's telling you
because
no, so I'm wrong, but I'm just saying.
it
I
also
don't.
might it also might be because I'm not logged into my account right now. I'm just kind of going, but those are my picks. Those are if I had to go four together. Um, that what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you over to same game parlay um specials and everything. That's why. Um, they try to gear you more towards different things like that. So that's DraftKings that I was using. Just heads up for everybody when you're looking at the odds and everything. But even if you weren't to parlay those are picks that I would be looking at making in within this Super Bowl that I think are locks. If you want to look at locks,
You had
I was gonna originally go money line with the Chiefs, but I don't know. That I think that might be too risky. So I think this could be closer than everybody thinks.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a good one. The request cannot be processed. I'm having the same issue because I was like, oh, I'll go in and do it and see. So it let me put in 3 of the legs and it was plus 340. So you're probably looking at plus like 4 or 5, so probably like 50 or $60. That's all I wanted to see was like how much that would probably net you. So not bad. I mean, those are 2 solid bets. We're not big. We're not big. Hey, put the house on. So I mean that's what we roll
If
with.
anything, you'll find me making really, really crazy parlays for very little money, whereas the payout is very large. Like there was one a few weeks ago. It was like I had put together it was like an 8-leg parlay of money line winners, and or maybe more. It may have been more, but like the payout of like I think it was like $10 or something like that, and the payout was like over 4,000 if I would have
Yeah,
hit on every one of these legs because it wasn't all money lines; it was like some stat ones too.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
that's where I'm like I'll do. It's like yeah, I'll just throw a little bit at this huge leg parlay, and if I win, great. If I don't,
yeah. I mean that's what I literally sometimes will put like $1 on and then try to pick every single MLB game. And like just picking the winner, not even doing anything because the spread on MLB games is weird. I don't get it and I don't like it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna pick money line on all these, and I'm like, it's never worked. But I'm like, hey, if it ever does, I'm gonna have like $1,000 in my pocket because it's just insane to have that many in a parlay. But
it's fun.
for sure. As far as the game result, I am gonna go. As I kind of telegraphed in my parlay. I'm going Kansas City getting the win 28-24 over San Francisco. Even taking the Mahomes factor out of it and the fact that Kansas City has more experience in this game. I just like the Chiefs' resume better. I mean, they dominated Miami at home. They beat the Bills on the road, then dominated the number 1 seeded Ravens in the AFC Championship game, whereas San Francisco, as the 1 seed, trailed the 7th seeded youngest playoff team since the merger Packers in the 4th quarter and had to dig themselves out of a monster hole to beat the Lions. Now, granted, I'm not trying to undersell the Lions. They had a great season, but their playoff wins were games against the Rams and Bucks. The Rams were like 4-6 at one point, and the Buccaneers won like the worst division in football. So, looking at what the 49ers did and what their resume is, like if this were like college football, I'd be like, oh yeah, that team looks the 49ers would be like the 4 right now or the 3 right now if they were the college football playoff. It's like, well, their resume isn't that strong at all. Like, what do you mean as far as like these last 2 games? I just think the Chiefs have looked strong in all 3 games they've played, whereas the 49ers have caused me to have some doubt in my head. So I'm going with the Chiefs in this one. As far as my MVP, I'm going Isaiah Pacheco. Mahomes has won MVP in the Chiefs Super Bowl wins so far, like both of them in this run. So that's probably the right answer. Going Kelsey feels far too fairy tale for him to win MVP. During this whole kind of wild run. It's probably going to be either Rashee Rice or Pacheco if KC wins. If it's not Mahomes, Pacheco has been great this postseason. The 49ers haven't been as strong against the run in the last few games, and the Chiefs will need him to have a big game in order to win. So he's my pick for MVP. Isaiah Pacheco is going to will the Chiefs to a Super Bowl. Mahomes gets his third ring, and the Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions yet again, first back-to-back champions since about 20 years ago with the Patriots. So that's my Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City in this one as well. I think I'm gonna go. I think the final is gonna be 35-31. Kansas City. It's gonna be close. Which could be. I think that might even be a little bit too high when you look at the way these defenses have been playing.
Maybe.
But yeah, I got Kansas City winning it, and my MVP. Okay, this one I can say can be rigged because let's just be honest. This one's the NFL makes the decision on this one.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, when the Colts won the Super Bowl back in 2006-2007 season, that MVP probably should have been Dominic Rhodes from that game because he just had an outstanding game, but they gave it to Peyton Manning, which, nothing wrong, but everybody's like, oh, okay, that's good. So I'm going to say your Super Bowl MVP is Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Just now I will give you that because then, yeah, that would mean, Taylor Swift on the field, all that stuff. So yes, that's probably the answer.
Regardless.
Well, right. But I mean, like more of an opportunity. So no, I
get to see Taylor Swift's shocked award-winning face. That face the shocked face that she gives when she wins another Grammy. If you don't think if you think that's like I'm bashing, I'm not. Go watch the Friends episode where Joey gets nominated for an award for the soap operas, and he has to practice his shocked face, his gracious loser face, and all of that. That's kind of what I'm referencing to when I'm talking about her award-winning shocked face.
What if, I was gonna say, what if someone comes on the stage and takes away Travis Kelce's MVP trophy, like Kanye did with Taylor Swift having a moment like that, but
doing that just to be funny.
Yeah. Like, Travis, I'll let you finish, but bring Taylor up here.
Yeah.
All right. Oh man. Well, it's gonna be a fun game. Really excited for it. That will do it for our preview of Super Bowl 58. Thank you guys all for hanging out tonight. Remember, you can like us on Facebook, 3C Media. Go follow us over on Twitter at 3C Media Sports. Go over to the YouTube channel if you're not there already. If you're listening to us on the podcast apps, go over to YouTube, 3C Media over there. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. And if you're listening to us on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, go to the podcast apps. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be heard, you can hear the Crash Course Podcast. We're on TikTok as well, 3C Media on there. So go follow us there. You can follow me at Crash Course FM on Twitter. B. Scott, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at Brandon_Scott87.
Next week, we'll be talking some Pacers as we get to the NBA trade deadline. Of course, the All-Star game in Indianapolis. So a lot of NBA discussion to get to. So we'll be talking about the Pacers, who have been very exciting this season. So a lot of fun things to get to. But until then, have a good one, everybody.